Aristotle, ancient Greek philosopher. Aristotle, ancient Greek, Aristotelēs, ancient Greek pronunciation, Aristotelēs, or Aristotle in short, 384, March 7, 322 BC, ancient Greek philosopher. Practical information, full name, birth. Aristotle, one of the most important philosophers in the history of thought with Plato, has created works of many disciplines such as logic, physics, biology, zoology, astronomy, metaphysics, ethics, aesthetics, spirit, psychology, linguistics, economics, politics and rhetoric. His works formed the basis of scientific activity in Europe and Islamic geography until the development of modern science in the 16th and 17th centuries. Based on many scientific terms and research methods used today, Aristotle has been the source of original philosophical thoughts and debates, scientific views and researches throughout history. Little is known about his life. Born in the ancient city of Stagira in northern Greece, Macedonian king II Philip's father, Nicomachus Aristotle, who was a doctor, died as a child and was brought up by teachers in the Macedonian palace. He joined Plato's academy in Athens at the age of 17-18 and remained there for about 20 years, c. 347 BC. Shortly after Plato died, Macedonian II in 343 BC. At the request of Philip, he taught Alexander the Great in the Macedonian palace. Aristotle, who later returned to Athens and established a school in Lyceum, like Plato's, gained many followers here and is thought to have produced most of the thoughts attributed to him today. It is not known exactly how the works that have survived to the present day with the name Aristotle are produced or collected. The texts remaining today are thought to be drafts or lecture notes created for lecture. However, these texts have determined the practice of science throughout the late antiquity, the Middle Ages, and the Renaissance. For example, their claims about astronomy were overcome by the work of Copernicus, physics Galileo and Newton, until classical mechanics, modern chemistry and biology became systematic sciences. His views on nature and animals continued to dominate his influence. Aristotle, who presented the first formal studies of logic, formed the basis of logic studies until Frege. Among the most important of his works are metaphysics, categories, physics, ethics to Nicomachus, politics, on the spirit and poetics. Although not as popular as other schools of thought in the Hellenistic period, their ideas were conveyed by those who followed their teachings, and had various effects on Epicureanism and Stoicism. However, Aristotle, who demonstrated his original influence in the Neoplatonism of early Christianity, in the Christian theology of the Middle Ages, in Islamic philosophy, and in scholastic thought, was referred to by Islamic thinkers as the exemplary teacher, that is, the first teacher. He just called it the philosopher. Heidegger claimed in philosophy that the concept found itself only with Aristotle. Aristotle, which has almost never been on the agenda throughout the history of philosophy, continues to contribute to current discussions, especially in the fields of metaphysics and ethics. Vital the information about the life of Aristotle, whose name, which was a very common name at that time, meant best goal, was very limited, and the documents from the antiquity to the present day were very speculative. In 384 or 385 BC, the Athos hill today. In Stagira, a small Macedonian city near the hill called the King of Macedonia II. It is believed that he was born as the son of Nicomachus, the physician of Amyntas, Philippos' father. One of Plato's brightest students, when Plato entered the academy in Athens at the age of 17-18, in 367 or 366 BC, Aristotle is said to have been known for his passion for reading when he was in school and acquired the nickname Reader. Since philosophy was made in the form of mutual speech and discussion before the Hellenistic period, Aristotle's orientation to texts may have been seen as a different activity, or this nickname may have been given by the later Aristotle readers because the texts of Aristotle were filled with references to their predecessors. It is believed that during this period he began to write his dialogues, none of which remain to the present day. When Plato died in 347 BC, his nephew Speusippus was the head of the academy, although this was often cited as the main reason for Aristotle's departure from Athens. Macedonian hostility also developed as a result of Macedonia's strengthening and threats to other Greek city-states. It can be thought to be effective in leaving. The tyrant of the city of Assos, where he was with Xenocrates, goes to Hermias from Metanevis as a consultant, and together with Theophrastus, one of his most important students, he made many observations, studies and experiments about animals, plants and geography, especially on Lesbos Island. It is thought that he collected most of the samples that filled his texts during this period. While in Lesbos, Hermias marries his niece or adopted daughter, Pythias, and also has a daughter named Pythias. In 343 the king of Macedonia in Pella, today Apostoli. He goes to Philip's palace as a consultant, where Philip's son Alexander and later general in his army, and Alexander teaches Cassander and Ptolemaeus, who will become king in the Greek peninsula and the other in Egypt, respectively. Diogenes Laertius, who wrote a biography book consisting of most rumored information about the lives of ancient philosophers, states that Aristotle had built a monument in Delphi when Hermias was killed in 341 and wrote a poem in his memory for this monument. Data. Although it is said that Aristotle made ethnic discrimination against the Persians, saw the Greeks superior to the Persians, taught his students to be the leader who treated the Greeks well but did the same to the Persians badly. But the norm of Persian enmity and be good to his friend, bad to his enemy is already in Antioch Greek society. It has been widespread for at least 2 centuries until Aristotle, and there is no clear pattern between the philosophy of Aristotle and its students' leadership. It is not known what Aristotle taught elite students in this period. When Alexander was the king of Macedonia in 335 BC after his death, Aristotle returned to Athens and established a philosophy school of his own in Lucian, close to Athens city center, which was previously used for philosophical purposes, and for discussing with his followers, according to rumors, with Aristotle's students. Or because of the name of the architecture, which is a kind of courtyard or gallery surrounded by columns, this name can mean both walkers around and architectural structure surrounding an area. When his wife Pythias, who taught here for 12 years, died, he married her Pallas and had a son named Nicomachus. It is thought that the texts remaining today are probably notes about the discussions made by Aristotle or his students during this period and were not shared outside the school. When an anti-Macedonian reaction wave occurred in Athens after the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC, a case of disrespect for religion against Macedonian Aristotle is in question. He is accused of immortalizing a